Okay, so good evening, everybody. So we'll start as we usually do. Yeah, visualizing the mirror field and ourselves surrounded by all living beings. And then with a mind that feels the fortune, the incredible fortune we have to learn the Buddhist teachings and to have the time right now to do that. And with the motivation to emulate all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, especially by generating bodhicitta. Then we'll chant the praises and generate our motivation.
To the teacher endowed, transcendent destroyer, oneness gone, foe destroyer, completely and fully awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, one gone to bliss, nor of the world supreme guide of beings to be tamed. Teacher of gods and humans, to you the Buddha endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among you and you were born on this earth, you paced 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I bow. With pure bodies formed supremely fine, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best supreme guide, to you I bow. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I bow. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I bow. Great compassionate protector, all-knowing teacher, field of merit and good qualities, vast as an ocean, to the Tathagata I bow. Through purity, freeing from attachment, through virtue, freeing from the lower realms. Unique, supreme, ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow. Having freed themselves, showing the path to freedom, too well established in the trainings. The holy field endowed with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind completely, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the state of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from the ocean of cyclic existence, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strew Mount Meru, foreland, sun and moon. Imagine desert, Buddha land, and offer to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. Venerable holy gurus, in the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom and love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma, in whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. I take refuge until I am awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha,
by the merit I create by listening to the Dharma. I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. So our world, and especially our country right now, is topsy-turvy. So it's easy to feel out of balance, to worry, to be concerned, or even frightened about what could happen, or would happen, or will happen. But at these kinds of times, it's good to return to what is most important in our life, and that is generating the bodhicitta. Because with that altruistic intention, we have a long-term view. So what happens in the short term doesn't push us out of whack as much. And also with the bodhicitta, we have a mind of love and compassion for all the beings who are involved in all the craziness of the world. So that protects us from anger, despair, hatred, and so on. So let's cultivate that long-term aspiration to become fully awakened so that we can actually, in effect, be of greater and greater benefit to living beings. And let's make that our motivation for sharing the teachings tonight. So actually, generating bodhicitta isn't something we can just sit down and whammo do. Yeah, it depends on creating the causes for bodhicitta. So we try and do that in our Dharma practice in general, and then we continually imprint in our mind this motivation, this intention, and that helps us become familiar with it and to grow into it, so to speak. So, one of the big things we have to do to generate bodhicitta is to stop creating negative karma, because negative karma is going to interfere with us practicing the path, gaining the realizations. And with the negative karma, when we create negative karma, it's usually involved in our harming other living beings, and harming other living beings is the opposite thing of what you want to do when you generate bodhicitta. So to generate bodhicitta, we have to stop harming, as much as possible. And, what helps us to stop harming, that's the practice of ethical conduct, or sila. And what in specific helps us to stop harming is to take precepts and to really generate a strong intention to keep them, and then to remind ourselves of them. That's why we have the posada, why we read our bodhisattva vows from time to time, to remember them, to study them, so we know what constitutes keeping them and what constitutes transgressing them. Yeah. And then to really see them as jewels, as things that we are fortunate enough to have. Yeah. Because without precepts, what do you think you would be doing right now? Okay, so the people who are monastics here, given, how you were living before you ordained, what would you be doing now if you had not taken precepts? People in the audience who have the 5 lay precepts, if you hadn't taken them, what would you be doing right now? Yeah. Do you want to be doing those things? Do you want the karma from doing them? Do you see how fortunate you are to have the precepts? Yeah. You had a comment, Venerable Thubten? No? Okay. Okay, so we're on page 122, still in the chapter called the Sangha, the monastic community. And I want to read the paragraph again from the last one we did last session. Meditation on the kindness of others and the disadvantages of the self-centered attitude are good antidotes to such conceit and complacency. Seeing the kindness we have received from others makes us vividly aware that everything we know and all we have accomplished is not due to an inherently spectacular ability in ourselves. Yeah, not like, I am the best. Why? Because I was born that way. And you can see it in my whole life. I am always victorious. No. I mean, everything we know, every ability we have, it's because other people taught us. And other people put up with us as we were learning and, making mistakes. So, to really remember that, then that really, then what's there to be arrogant about? And how can we be complacent, seeing that we've received that kind of kindness? To the contrary, everything we have, everything we know, is due to the kindness of those who have taught us, cared for us, and encouraged us. Therefore, conceit is totally inappropriate. When we consider how self-importance and smugness have sabotaged us during our beginningless lives and cyclic existence, we develop antipathy towards those mental poisons. And they are poisons. And they're hard, When you have arrogance, sometimes you don't even see it because you think it's self-confidence. And you know that you're better than other people. You just know it. There's no debate about it. You aren't arrogant. Well, you are, but you're so arrogant that you don't know you're arrogant, But it's the mind that thinks, I'm too good to do that. Other people can do that. Yeah, I'm too good to do it. I'm too important to do it. I shouldn't have to do that. Okay, and then smugness is just, smugness and complacency. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm wonderful. So I don't really need to exert myself to change or to create merit or avoid negativity because I'm already doing okay. Okay, so again, that's not self-confidence. That's a smugness that is very related to arrogance. Yeah. Okay, so those things have sabotaged us during our beginningless lives and cyclic existence. So those are the things we want to have antipathy for. Strong mindfulness and introspective awareness arise, and we are determined to not fall prey to such self-defeating habits and attitudes, and to remain true to our spiritual aims. And to do that, the Buddha recommended that all monastics reflect thus. And then in the Anguttara Nikaya, in the Pali Canon, this is what he said. Monastics, there are these 10 points that one who has gone forth should often reflect on. What 10? Okay, first one. One gone forth. And going forth means you've left the home life to enter the homeless life. Yeah? And entering the homeless life means, that you are not living with your family. You're not involved in all the activities of your family and of lay people. You're not patching up their relationships and getting involved in their dramas, okay? So you have to be careful about this. Okay, so the first one gone forth should repeatedly reflect, I have entered a different and special way of life. And it is different, yeah? We're not working for a living. We're depending completely on the generosity of other people to stay alive. Thus, we have, a responsibility and an obligation to these people to repay their kindness by practicing as best as we can. Yeah. So, and our way of life is special, through the way it's structured because of our precepts. It's special because of our aim. Our aim isn't to be rich and famous and receive praise and glory and, get promoted and da-da-da-da-da. Or is it? Yeah, what really is our motivation? We say, well, I renounced, I'm a monastic. Well, there's still plenty of ways to seek wealth and fame and renown and, have a good reputation. So we shouldn't just say, well, I've renounced that, you can see, because I shaved my head. No, we find all sorts of ways to make ourselves important and to drop hints to people about what we want and so on and so forth. So, when it says to repeatedly reflect, I have entered a different and special way of life, to really sit, and this is your homework, what does different mean? What does special mean in this context? How is our lifestyle different? How is it special? Okay. Then the second, one gone forth should repeatedly reflect, my livelihood depends on others. Yeah, so my livelihood here, it means are the four requisites: food, clothing, shelter, medicine. Okay, note that does not include the latest digital stuff. It doesn't include a phone or a computer or a new lamp or this, that, and the other thing. Okay, it's four requisites depend on others. Everything else we have also depends on others. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we go around asking everybody to give us stuff. Yeah. When we talk about right livelihood for monastics, there's 5 points in this. I won't go into all of them right now, but basically, it's if we drop hints to somebody about what we want, and then they give us something. Yeah. If we flatter somebody and praise them, tell them how wonderful they are, to get something. If we, thank them so much, the hinting, that winter jacket you got me last year was so warm and so comfortable. And unfortunately, kind of the cat peed on it. And I was too lazy to wash it. But we'll make do. Hint, 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 get me a new jacket. Okay? So those kinds of things. Giving somebody a small present, so that they will give you a big one, buttering somebody up. Yeah, how do you butter them up? You give them a small present. Yeah, and then they feel obliged, because you're Sangha, to give you something in return. Then there's also coercion. Yeah, and of course, we don't want to think of ourselves as corrosive, not corrosive, but we do butter people up, and we do put them in difficult positions. Okay, we are raising money for blah, 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 and so-and-so has given this amount, and so-and-so has given this amount, so-and-so has given this amount. How much are you going to give, Joe? And he's sitting there in front of everybody else. What's he going to say? Yeah. So, putting people in positions where they can't say no. So all of these are wrong livelihoods, that we should really abandon and not use them to get the things that we need. Yeah. And in addition, we should practice being content and satisfied. Yeah. So I am content and I am satisfied, but we really need this and this and this and this and this and this. It's for the whole community. Yeah, it's not me. I'm just not looking for myself. But really, we all need this. Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, contentment, satisfaction, out the window, desire in the window. Okay, next one. One gone forth should repeatedly reflect. My deportment should be different or calmer. There remains further practices that I must do. So we should reflect often. My deportment should be different. Okay, which means that, I'm not screaming from one place to the other. I'm not, demanding things. I'm not laughing hysterically, and hugging people, when we first see them, and all this stuff. We should be, don't you think, a little bit calmer? Yeah. Our slogan is for the Abbey is creating peace in a chaotic world. So we've got to hurry up and do that. And I have a list that is like to create peace in a chaotic world. Yes, and I've got to do that quickly because I can't stand the world so chaotic. So can you help me, and you help me, and you help me, and we're all going to do it together. It's a big swarm. Let's go. Okay, after teachings, we're out there and we're doing it. We're creating peace in a chaotic world. Aren't you excited? Oh, I'm glad you're excited. Yeah? So show up at the swarm tomorrow. Yeah? Okay. So we should really try, we can laugh and so on, but we should, try and at least be a little bit calmer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That skit that you did when we had some Latinas here, Latina nuns, they did a skit a few years ago about going to greet friends at the airport. And they did it how you do it in Latin culture. Jumping up and down, screaming, hugging each other, twirling around. They acted perfectly, And then they showed how kind of Anglo-Saxon people do it. Hello, we're glad you arrived safely. It was really quite beautiful, what they did. Yeah. Okay. The next one. Oh, and also to do with this one, it says there remain further practices that I must do. In other words, I'm not finished with the path yet, and there's other things I have to learn. There's other Dharma activities that I have to engage in. Yeah. Okay, then the next one is, one gone forth should repeatedly reflect, do I reproach myself concerning faults in my conduct? Now, when it talks about reproaching ourselves, it does not mean castigating yourself and telling yourself how awful you are and, what a horrible monastic you are, with the idea that if you make yourself feel bad enough and guilty enough, that then you will change. That doesn't work. Yeah. I was once talking with somebody who had come here, and after he left was, I'm very much having this mind of I should do this and I ought to do this and I'm supposed to do this, and I said, what would happen if and he was torturing himself by talking to himself that way. Oh, I'm so lazy, I'm so awful, I should be doing this and this and this. And I said, what would happen if you didn't castigate yourself like that? And he said, I'm afraid I would be really lazy. And so he was using this thing of being hard on himself to overcome laziness. But that wasn't working very well. Yeah. Because he still, was doing those things that he felt he shouldn't be doing, even though it wasn't that bad. And he wasn't doing what he thought he should be doing. But when we beat ourselves up and criticize ourselves and make ourselves, and this is a very strange way of thinking we have in the West, that the worse I make myself feel, the more guilty and unworthy I feel, the more I am purifying my selfish negative actions. No, that's not how we purify. The Buddha taught the 4 opponent powers, and one of them was not hate yourself. Okay? One of them was not feel guilty and tell yourself how lousy you are and what a failure you are. Yeah, you remember the 4? Yeah? So none of them are what we often do. So we should remember that and do the 4 opponent powers. When we are beating up on ourselves, we don't have time to do the 4 opponent powers because we're sitting there feeling so bad and so unworthy and so guilty. And if only other people knew this, and then there is no time to actually do purification. Okay, so we should, focus on what's important. Okay, so when it says, do I reproach myself concerning faults in my conduct, what it means is, am I noting that and reminding myself, I've done that behavior before. I've thought about it. I really don't want to keep doing that behavior. It really doesn't get me where I want to go. Yeah, so I'm going to really try hard and not do it again, or at least cut down how much I do it. Yeah, so that way of talking to ourselves, is a good kind of quote reproach, as opposed to, I am so bad. I think I told you about the young monk who once came to see me at one of our monastic gatherings, who said, I can just imagine the Buddha looking at me, because I was talking about when you do your practice to imagine the Buddha smiling and looking at you with compassion and acceptance. And he said, oh no, I imagine the Buddha looking at me like going, you're a bad monk. I said, please don't do that. You're not going to last as a monastic if that's the way you talk to yourself. And you're not going to get anywhere in changing your behavior either. And that's really unfair to the Buddha, don't you think? We project on people all the time. But here, what are you projecting on the Buddha? Yeah, that the Buddha's angry and judging you and going to send you to hell. Yeah, I haven't read any of that in the Buddhist scriptures, that's how the Buddha reacts or interacts with people. So don't project that kind of nonsense on the Buddha. Okay, then the next one. One gone forth should repeatedly reflect, do my wise companions in the spiritual life find fault with my conduct? Okay, so wise companions in the spiritual life, our teachers, our Dharma friends, the monastics we live with, and the wise ones. Sometimes there's people that aren't so wise, but the wise ones, do they find fault with my conduct? In other words, am I doing things either that break precepts, that alarm them, or discourage them from keeping their precepts? Or am I just being, I want to use a word which I will not use, or am I just being obnoxious and inconsiderate? Yeah? Such that, it disturbs the peace of mind of the people that I live with. Do they find fault with my conduct because I'm being inconsiderate and just thinking of what I feel like doing and what I don't feel like doing? Yeah, what I agree with and what I don't agree with, and how people should treat me, and they should really meet my needs, and they should leave me alone when I want to be left alone, and they should talk to me when I feel lonely, and they should know when I want to be alone and when I want them to talk to me just through their clairvoyance, even though they don't have that. Yeah. No, I mean, we should try, especially, and this is really the benefit you get from living in community, is we have to learn to be sensitive to other sentient beings. And not just to be sensitive, but to be considerate. Yeah. When we live alone, we don't have to be sensitive to the other people we live with. There aren't any. You do have to be sensitive to your cat and your dog and your pet pig and your pet canary, because if you're obnoxious with them, they will let you know. Yeah. But, so we should be considerate with our pets. But really, the people we live with, instead of just saying, tough luck on them, I'm going to say what I want to say, do what I want to do, and they just have to live with it. How are you going to become a Buddha with compassion for all sentient beings with that attitude? Yeah, that's not the kind of attitude that's going to lead you to awakening. Yeah. It's the kind of attitude that's going to lead you to other people going, hello, goodbye. I don't want to be around you, because you're very inconsiderate. So, yeah. It's amazing the kind of things that our parents tried to teach us when we were in kindergarten that are the same thing our Dharma teachers try and teach us, just using different examples. In kindergarten, it was don't throw sand at other kids. And when you're in the sandbox, don't throw sand at other people's eyes. Don't throw rocks over the fence. It could hurt somebody. Okay? Yeah. So we mastered that. We don't throw sand in other people's eyes. Yeah. But we let our anger out. We spew it out all over the place. Either by angry words or slamming doors and just retiring. Be alone. Yeah. So, are our wise companions on the spiritual path, do they find fault with our behavior? And they can point that out to us. Yeah. So this is, such an important way that we can see the kinds of things that we need to work on. Because without these sometimes daily stuff that happens when you're trying to work together or do something or even come to Dharma class on time, without all this kind of stuff, we have no mirror to look at our own behavior with. Because we just live alone, we come and go what we want, we buy what we want, we eat what we want, we eat when we want. Yeah, if something doesn't taste good, we just, discard it and, make what we like. Yeah, but in a community, you can't do that. Yeah, we all try. We all have our own ways, don't we? Yeah, and we think nobody else sees our own ways of this kind of, how do they say, working the situation. Or how do you say, how you manipulating the situation to get what we want. Yeah. And we think, oh, nobody else sees that because I'm very clever at it. Oh, yeah? Really? Nobody else sees it? No. Because I don't manipulate. I'm just being sincere and honest and letting people know where I'm at and what I want. So now, what are you doing? You're looking at all the other monastics and people in the room going, did you hear that? That's what you do. Me? She's not talking to me. She's talking to you. You do that. Okay. Then the next one gone forth should repeatedly reflect, I must part and be separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. So we need to remember impermanence. Yeah, not just the fact that we're going to die, but the constant impermanence in our lives. Yeah, we're so happy that we got occupancy for the Buddha Hall. We have finished construction. Yeah, and now we can take all those signs down in the back of the room. Yeah, yeah, right? We have your permission. Oh, thank you.
Don't damage them, I want them for the museum.
What? Yeah, no, I know that Venerable Thubten wants to keep them for the museum. Is that what you want to do for the museum? Yes. Yes.
We can be part of the museum.
We can what?
We can be part of the museum.
Oh yeah, we could. Yes, we can be. Yes, I see. It cracks me up. I don't know who's doing the things with Boney every day, but it's cracking me up. But I keep wishing, that should be my body after I die, that you put my bones like that, and then you do that. Okay, but we're building a Buddha Hall, or we have got to the stage of occupancy, and the Buddha Hall is now in the stage of falling apart and getting old and getting damaged, and it's changing every moment, even if we don't see the change. Yeah, so it's in the process of decaying and falling apart already. Yeah. But we want to keep fixing it. And we're still trying to make it perfect. Yeah. But just to remember that. Yeah? And that all the people we live with, No, we're all getting old and aging. We're all closer to death than we were last week when we had the teachings. Yeah, so let's not take each other for granted. Yeah. Okay. So think about, who is near and dear to you, and what things are dear and agreeable that you like. Really think specifically of what those things are. And then imagine, if it's people, imagine them getting sick and getting old and dying. Yeah. If it's things, imagine how they fall apart or somebody steals them or who knows what. That thing that you worked so hard to create, that masterpiece painting, in the Palisades fire, or maybe it was the Altadena fire, there was one person who was an artist, and they were getting all their things ready for a big show in Los Angeles, and their whole house burnt up with all the things in it, everything that they were going to hopefully sell and make a living with, gone like that. Yeah. And, to remember that things, this is another one of Lama Yeshe's good phrases, come, come, go, go. And that's it. People come into our lives, and they go from our lives. And things that we think are beautiful, that we like, come and go. And the same for things we don't like. They come, and they go. Yeah, so there's nothing to cling on to get attached to. And what we take with us, what's most important, is the karma we've created, the attitudes that we've become habituated with, the purification we've done. Okay, next, one gone forth should repeatedly reflect, I am the owner of my karma, heir of my karma. I have karma as my origin, karma as my relative, karma as my resort. I will be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that I do. Okay, there's a passage in the Dhammapada that is almost word for word like that. But it's really true, I'm the owner of my karma. If I act purely, impurely, I'm going to be the one to experience the result. In my mind, I can set up, the judge and the jury and the DA and the prosecutor against the person who, I attacked or I cheated or whatever, and I can make the whole case about how they were at fault and it started with them and theirs to blame. But, yeah, that doesn't change the karma we created if we acted with a negative motivation or we mistreated somebody. Yeah. So if people can praise whatever action we did and say it's wonderful, but we did it with a horrible motivation, it's still going to bring painful results. Doesn't matter what other people say. Doesn't matter how much we justify how we're right and they're wrong. Yeah. So I am the owner of my karma, the heir of my karma. So I will inherit the results of the actions that I've done. I am the one who experiences the results. I have karma as my origin. That's why I am alive in this situation. Yeah. And we always find something in our life to complain about. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine living in Gaza right now? It's totally unimaginable what it would be like. Yeah. And we don't live in Gaza, but we still find so much to complain about. Yeah. And why are we experience things that we don't like, that we complain about? Because we created the karmic cause by being obnoxious or deceitful or whatever in previous times. So that, I have karma as my origin. Why am I the person I am now, experiencing what I am now? It's due to my own karma. Okay. Karma as my relative. Yeah. Relatives are the ones that are close to you. And our karma is close. And we have lots of different kinds of karma. Some karmic seeds from incredibly virtuous activities, some karmic seeds for incredibly non-virtuous activities. And all of that is close to us. And depending upon what we do and the situations we put ourselves in, we can help to create or to make ripen certain karmas, or to prevent other karmas from ripening. But yeah, karma as my relative, karma as my resort. Yeah. When I'm desperate and I want happiness, what do I have to remember? Create virtuous karma. And then we say, oh, but I can't because this horrible situation is happening. There's no way I can create virtuous karma. Everybody's interfering with me. Yeah. But, yeah, what's interfering mostly with us is our own mind. Whereas if we're in an unpleasant situation, we say, I created the cause to be here. How can I create virtue right now? How can you create virtue right now? What can you do? You're living in a tent in Gaza. You just got thrown in prison. What can you do? There's a lot you can do to create virtue every moment. You know how to do purification, you know how to mentally make offerings, you know how to rejoice at the merit of others, you know mantras, you know certain Dharma texts by heart that you can meditate on. There's lots of things that you can do. Yeah, we shouldn't say, oh, my situation is not very good, but after I get a new house, and then I can set up my own meditation cushion in the room where I can control the heating, and after the children are old enough to walk across the street by themselves, and after my husband or wife decides that it's time for them to cook the meals, then when I have a perfect situation, then I will practice Dharma. That's what we always say. I can't do a good practice now because I'm just not in a good situation. And this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, that wrong. But the big thing that's wrong is that we're forgetting that it doesn't depend on external things for us to create virtue. We can just sit down and do it by the way we think right now. Yeah. Okay. Then the next one. Okay. Karma as my resort, I will be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, virtuous or non-virtuous, that I do. One gone forth should repeatedly reflect, how am I spending my days and nights? Well, let's see, I get up in the morning, I have some tea, even though I wish it were coffee. I think about that every morning when I have my tea, but I visualize it being coffee, and then I wonder why this stupid, teacher says no coffee. What's wrong with coffee? Lots of Buddhists in lots of Dharma centers and monasteries drink coffee. In fact, when we were at the ordination program, they gave me packets of coffee, but I come here home to my own home monastery and I can't drink coffee. Oh, no. I should repeatedly reflect, how am I spending my days and nights? I haven't even gone past answering that question because I've gotten totally off into the first thing in the day that I want is my coffee, and I'm not getting what I want. Yeah, how am I spending my days? Well, after I get over the thing about coffee, then I look at the news. Now I worry. I worry. Maybe this is going to happen. Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe the other thing's going to happen. And, that's concerning the world. But then, what about me? Maybe this will happen. Maybe that will happen. Maybe today they say everything about impermanence. And you're going to die one day and you're not going to expect to die that day. Maybe I'm going to die today. Oh no, what can I do to prevent from dying today? I don't want to die today. Oh, what can I do? Well, I've got to remember to tie my shoelaces so I don't trip and fall. And I got to look both ways when I cross the street. And when I drive, I should try and keep my eyes open and instead of falling asleep. And I should turn off my phone, but I'm so worried. And what about the kids? And what about my friendships? And what about this? And what about that? And the Buddha Hall. Oh my goodness, I'm so worried about the Buddha Hall. What's going to happen to the Buddha Hall? I don't know. Will I be able to survive until the Buddha Hall's finished? I don't know about that. I'm exhausted. Worry. Okay, so how am I spending my days? Like that. How am I spending my nights? Zoned out. Okay. Now we should be able to reflect, how am I spending my days and my nights? One gone forth should repeatedly reflect, do I delight in solitary dwellings or not? Yes, I want a solitary dwelling. I can't stand living in this place with so many people. I want to go out and find my own cave with aircon in the summer and heat in the winter, and a door that I can bolt shut where everybody will leave me alone, and take my phone with me so that I can spend all day catching up with what everybody else is doing. But I don't want to interrelate with them because they drive me crazy. Yeah, so I delight in solitary dwellings. Yeah. So that I can, update my Facebook account, update my LinkedIn account, see how many people have read the things I've posted. I haven't been on Instagram, I better do that. And then what's this other one? TikTok. Yeah, we were gonna all, as a community, go on TikTok. People suggested that we do. And we should teach them Namo Amitofo. Come on. Because people think it's so cute when nuns do cute things, and monks can do cute things too. Yeah. So what am I saying? Do I delight in solitary dwellings? Well, yeah. After I get on TikTok, but Donnie's gonna. He's gonna shut down TikTok or not? But everybody's going on this new one called Red something. Red something. Red. No, not Reddit. Something that comes from China. Yeah, that everybody's, they're all going on that. But, so I need to do all that. Okay, so when it's talking about solitary dwellings, it's not talking about finding yourself a cave. Anyway, you think you can live in a cave. Yeah. Yeah, if you do, I know you guys, you're going to want to take your bed with you. Your bed and your blankets and your pillow. Yeah, you're going to sleep on the stone in a cave. Yeah, we're going to have a very plush cave. Yeah. So here, when it's saying solitary dwellings, it's referring to, do I find time to, or make time to be alone with myself and watch my mind and really see if I'm going in the direction I want to go in. Yeah, thinking about what's important. Do I do that? Or when it's time, for posada, do I conveniently get way too busy to think about, how my last 2 weeks were? Okay, next one gone forth should repeatedly reflect, have I experienced any profound truths or wise insights of the Aryas, so that when facing death, I do not feel embarrassed when questioned by my spiritual companions? Oh, the answer to that is simple. No. I have not experienced any profound truths or wise insights of the Aryas, so that when facing death, I do not feel embarrassed when questioned by my spiritual companions. What are they doing questioning me when I'm dying? Leave me alone. Come on, guys. It's not time for an interrogation for me to tell you what I've realized. Yeah. And don't make me embarrassed by saying, you're such a good practitioner. Tell us what you've realized. When I haven't realized anything and I feel like a big jerk because I've pulled the wool over your eyes for so long. Okay. So how to not feel that? Yeah, is to do something so that we progress on the path and maybe we don't become Aryas, but maybe we deepen our understanding of the Buddha's teachings and we are able to restrain our negativities better and create virtue, with greater ease. Maybe we've done that, when it comes time to die, when we look back at our life, what do we feel good about having done? And what do we regret? And we should start doing that kind of inventory now so that we can purify the things we regret, make amends to the people that we need to apologize and make amends with, and then direct our energies towards something virtuous. So monastics, these are the 10 points that one who has gone forth should reflect on. So that was what the Buddha said. Okay, now back to His Holiness. Since attachment to family and attraction to people don't disappear upon receiving precepts, the Buddha gave advice to monastics on the proper way to relate to lay followers. The Pali commentary Saratapakasini by Buddhaghosa explains the following. So this is what Buddhaghosa has to say about how to relate to lay friends and lay people in general. And I know that this is something that, when you ordain, your relationships really do change. And you have your old friends and they want to talk to you and know what's going on in your life. But when you talk to them for a while, then it's not so interesting. You're talking about all sorts of negativities and just hearing their complaints. And it doesn't, inspire you. And you don't feel like you're able to contribute anything to the conversation that would help them understand their lives better. Yeah. So you have to, rethink a lot of relationships and how we relate to them, and especially with our parents. if your parents have high expectations of what you're going to do in life, and then learning to just accept that, not feel guilty about not being the child that your parents would like you to be, because maybe your parents, don't agree with Dharma practice or don't know what it is, or would much rather that you had a corner office in a bank somewhere and your 2.5 kids and went on holiday cruises with them. Yeah, or whatever it is, like, play golf with them. Yeah, they want you to know important people or, who knows what, become famous in one way or another. And, you would much rather take precepts and live a monastic life. And so how am I going to relate to my parents? How can I, you need to really let your parents know that what you're doing as a monastic, you're not rejecting them. Yeah, you are building on the good things that they taught you when they brought you up. Because our parents were the first teachers of ethical conduct. Yeah, and they were our first teachers of how to be considerate of other people so that other people like us and don't run away with the sight of us. And to let our parents know, gee, you really helped me a lot to develop good values, to differentiate what to practice, what not. You helped me learn a lot of things. I appreciate it. I know I wasn't always the easiest kid to bring up. Yeah, have you ever apologized to your parents for being a brat? Yeah. So, to make amends like that. Okay, so here's what Buddhaghosa said. As the moon gliding across the sky does not form intimacy, affection, or attachment with anyone, nor give rise to fondness, longing, or obsession, yet remains dear and agreeable to the multitude. So you too should not form intimacy and so forth with anyone. Then, by doing so, you will approach families like the moon, dear and agreeable to the multitude. Further, as the moon dispels darkness and emits light, so you too will dispel the darkness of defilements and emit the light of wisdom. Beautiful, isn't it? So how the moon, goes across the sky when it's a full moon here, and it rises in different parts depending on the season, and it glides across. And in the winter now, the moonlight reflects on the snow. It's quite beautiful. Okay, so just think of how the moon just glides across the sky. The moon is not on a trip. Yeah, the moon just glides. That's all. It's simple. It's not a big deal. Yeah, the moon isn't saying, oh, sky, you are so beautiful, I never want to leave you. Yeah, the moon is not saying, oh, I'm so exhausted, could I reach the horizon already and go to sleep? The moon is not saying, I'm so beautiful, I'm full and bright, and there's clouds in the sky. What are they doing there, barring my magnificent brightness? Okay. So the moon doesn't have any trips. It just glides across the sky. Okay? So, without forming intimacy, oh, I want to be near the North Star. well, around here, you're not going to be near the North Star. North Star's that way, and you are going this way. Yeah, but I long to be with the North Star. Yeah, or I want to be with Orion's belt. You know, those three ones, they're like the triple gem. I want to be with the triple gem, the 3 stars that form Orion's belt. I like them so much. They're so beautiful. They're so kind to me. You know, we're really close. I can tell those 3 stars, all my problems, the moon says, you know. Like when people say there's a rabbit in me or a man in me. Hey, man in the moon, rabbit in the moon. What are you? Oh, the stars in Orion's belt, don't call me names like that. Don't project those kinds of things. I'm so close. Yeah, the moon doesn't do that. But look how we are with people. Oh, you know, I want to be with you. You make me feel so happy, you know, and you're so beautiful. I'm just longing to lie in bed with you. Or you're such a good friend. I can tell you everything. I can just let it all out and cry hysterically, and you will all. I love you, dear friend. I always want to be with you. Okay, yeah. The moon does not form intimacy, affection, or attachment with anyone. Yeah, it doesn't give rise to fondness. Yeah. Oh, I like Orion's belt better than I like. What's that big bright thing in the sky now? That must be some satellite. We saw it when we were in Singapore too. Yeah, you guys haven't seen. It's there all the time in the same space. Yeah, very bright this morning. It was brighter than usual. Yeah, and I don't like that one so much, you know. It's too bright. It needs to tune it down, you know. But I just want to be with Orion's, Orion's belt, you know, or how we are with other people. You know, I want to be with so and so. Oh, can't I talk to this person and just spell everything out? They understand me. And, oh, and what? Venus.
She's been in the sky for a while.
Yeah?
She's trying to outshine me.
She's trying to outshine me? Venus?
She's bigger than you. She's bigger than you.
No, she's not. She's one little tiny thing in the sky. I am big. Yeah, I am big. Look at me. Don't I appear bigger than Venus? Venus is some tiny thing, you know. And just because, you know, some old people made a goddess out of her, you know. Okay, so not form intimacy, yeah, but remain dear and agreeable. We are pleasant, we are kind, we get along with people. But we don't glom on. Yeah. So if you find in your mind that you're glomming on to somebody or longing for somebody, then check up. Yeah. Because that's really dangerous. Yeah. Because then we fall under the influence of that person. Our behavior changes so that they will like us, you know. So be like the moon. Just glide, shine your light, dispel the darkness, be agreeable to the multitude. Yeah. And yeah, share your wisdom. This advice is so moving, this is His Holiness, this advice is so moving that all of us, lay and monastic, would do well to heed it. Open-hearted care and concern, free from longing and guilt, is a healthy way to relate to others. How do lay followers handle a situation in which a monastic is not behaving according to the precepts? Oh, these monastics, they are so conceited, they expect me to do everything for them. They don't realize I have a family and a life and everything. They expect me to give them whatever they want, wait on them hand and feet, I come up here, I offer service, we sit down for lunch, they eat first, except on Wednesdays. Yeah. Okay, so how do lay followers handle a situation in which a monastic is not behaving according to the precepts? You're working on somebody's computer and you find some things that are not really conducive to keeping celibacy on that computer. Yeah, one layperson gave us a computer very many years ago. Yes, I remember. Venerable Jigme was, going through and kind of trying to make it into a computer that we could use. And there was a whole porn section. And he gives this computer to us, apparently not even remembering that there was all this porn on it. So if you're a if you're a monastic, he was a lay person, yeah. But if you're a monastic, don't put your porn on a computer that you share with somebody else. Yeah. Yeah. Don't look at porn at all. Okay. Yeah, it is not healthy. And I say this because I've been around a while and heard a lot of stories, okay, and a lot of confessions. So, yeah. Okay, so how do lay people respond? First, we should try to prevent such situations from occurring. Yeah, prevent the monastics from breaking their precepts. At this one place I went to teach, they were having a Tibetan monk who was visiting them. Yeah, the Tibetan monk who liked to wear lay clothes that I told you about. So, and they liked him. He was quite friendly. And they lived in, where did they live? In Kansas or someplace where there were a lot of casinos, And they said, he wants to really learn about life in America. They asked me, is it okay if we take him to a casino? God. You want to take a monk to a casino? Yeah, I didn't say that way. I said, no, that's not going to be conducive for his holding his ordination and, creating virtue. Don't do that. That's what I had to say to these people. Yeah. But, so you try and prevent situations in which, if you're a layperson, in which monastics can break precepts or their practice degenerate. So don't invite them to casinos. Don't invite them to go dancing or go to a rave or to, the last concert that, Bob Dylan, did, or, whatever. Don't you want to go to that? Yeah, you don't? Oh, but he was so good. He was from our generation. Is he still alive? He's still alive? Yeah, okay, yeah. Or Simon and Garfunkel. Yeah. So this is not conducive, Don't invite monastics to go to a movie with a lot of sex and violence. Yeah. So try, we should try to prevent such situations from occurring. For example, lay practitioners should not invite monastics to join them in watching movies with sex and violence. They should not drink alcohol or take recreational drugs in the presence of monastics. I've had lay people do that too. Yeah, I'm sitting there and they pull out a joint. In another situation, they started passing alcohol around. That's not, and these people were Dharma people. Yeah, but that's not the thing to do. Should not take monastics to a casino, hug monastics of the opposite sex or of the same sex if you are gay or if they are gay. I have heard of all the above happening. Such activities are not suitable for monastics, and lay followers must be aware of this. Also, refrain from offering monastics luxury items. Some monks become spoiled by lay followers who dote on them. Yeah. And this is really true. Sometimes, the mystique of being a Tibetan monk, you have to be Tibetan, Indies don't count. Yeah. You have to be a monk and you have to have some titles. Yeah. Instead of stupid jerk. Yeah. And people are just like so infatuated, and they take them to the shopping mall and get them this and get them that, and a Rolex watch and all these things that really are not conducive for their Dharma practice. And only when they bring these things back to the monastery, they aren't a good example for all the other monastics there who have, been doing their practice. Okay. In the inquiry of Ugra Sutra, the Buddha gave advice on how to regard a monastic who has transgressed precepts. Without disrespecting the person, in other words, you want to call them a bunch of names and scream at them, but you don't. Without disrespecting the person, we think that the robes are the robes of the fully awakened Buddha, who is free from all pollutants and has complete ethical conduct, concentration, wisdom, and liberation. As such, we have respect for Aryas and generate compassion for the monastic. Okay? So, in other words, you see a monastic doing something awful, instead of just focusing on the awfulness of them as a person and the awfulness of what they're doing, think of the robes as being the robes of the Buddha. This person is wearing those robes at some point in their life. They really had that aspiration to practice well. Yeah. And so you respect the robes, you respect the Buddha, you respect Aryas, and this monastic at this particular moment is under the influence of afflictions, which I as a layperson can understand, being under the influence of afflictions. So I have compassion for them. I don't pretend that what they did was okay, but I have compassion for them, their inability at that moment to follow the precepts. Okay, so as such, we don't lose faith in the Dharma, in the Buddha, in the Arya Sangha. Yeah, we have compassion for one person who is an ordinary being like us, who was overwhelmed by afflictions. Without whitewashing the situation, we recognize this person's conduct is not appropriate, although he wears the Buddha's robes. But since the Buddha advised us not to despise the unlearned, we recall that it is the person's afflictions that have committed the offense. Since this person has access to the Buddha's teachings, if he studies and practices them in the future, he will come to know, confess, and rectify his lapses. In this case, he will still be able to become an Arya and a Buddha one day. So that's the way, as a lay person, you think if you see a monastic breaking precepts. As a monastic, if you see somebody do that, you cultivate the same attitude. However, when it's time at Posada, if that person doesn't confess the fault, then you have to say, I saw this, is this what was going on? And you do that with the motivation of compassion so that the person will can grow, can learn, can purify. We're supposed to help each other in that way. It's not a pleasant thing to do. It's not a pleasant thing to be the recipient of. So best is that we don't create the cause for other people to have to say stuff to us. Yeah, but when they do, to remember that they are our monastic friends and they're trying to help us. Okay. In this way, we protect ourselves from becoming judgmental or from losing faith. So those two things that we want to do. We don't want to become angry and judgmental and just have a torrent, whether we verbalize it or it's just in our mind, a torrent of judgment and criticism. And for the person. And we don't want to lose faith in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, because this person is, wearing robes and in our mind, should be acting as a representative of the three jewels. But, what are the three jewels teaching? The Dharma doesn't work because look what somebody did. And this is really a tragedy, when people lose faith in the Dharma because of one person's bad behavior. Because that person's bad behavior, they did not learn from the Buddha Dharma Sangha. Yeah, that is coming from their afflictions. So we shouldn't blame the three jewels or lose faith. It's this person has the afflictions and they get overwhelmed by them, and they do this. I know it's really difficult when it's somebody that you've respected. Yeah, and somebody, especially if it's somebody, who's usually recognized as a very good Lama, and then you hear, stuff like this, then it's really easy to get angry at them and judge them, or really easy to lose faith and say, well, if they're so highly realized and they act like this, what hope is there for me? Nothing. That's the wrong way to think. Just because somebody has titles and so on, we don't know their actual level of realization. It might be higher and they're demonstrating that behavior so that we know how we look when we act like that. They may, not actually live up to the rank that they have, but none of that is my business. Yeah, the best way for me to learn from this situation, when I see somebody or hear about somebody, a monastic I respect acting poorly, is to look at my own practice and ask myself, how can I avoid thinking like that and acting like that? Okay, I think I've told you before that when I was living in Dharamsala and studying with Geshe and Darge at the library, there was one monk, who I really respected. There was a senior nun from Germany who I respected. I was this baby beginner and they were advanced and I had a lot of respect for them. And they fell in love, and they were both Geshe-la's close disciples. They fell in love, and they left. Okay? And the way I saw it, the way I took it was, oh my goodness, if attachment can overpower people like that, I have to be really, really careful, you know? So I didn't judge them, but I just said, boy, you know, attachment is dangerous. Look what attachment did to them. And I don't want attachment to do that to me. Yeah. So in that way, you actually learn from other people's mistakes. So it doesn't matter whose it is or what's going on, you know, instead of being judgmental, to take it and like, that's how I appear when I act like that. Or if that can happen to that person, losing mindfulness and introspective awareness and conscientiousness, what about me? I have to protect myself. Okay. So in this way, we protect ourselves from becoming judgmental or from losing faith. In addition, we think, I too have the seeds within me to act in inappropriate and non-virtuous ways. True or not true? Okay, not everybody's nodding their head yes. Some people are going, oh yes, this is very interesting. Yeah, you're not talking about me. I am. In addition, we should think, I too have the seeds within me to act in inappropriate and non-virtuous ways. Thus, I will learn from observing this person and invigorate my mindfulness and introspective awareness to prevent myself from acting in a similar manner. Okay, I could give you some examples. I will refrain myself. Yeah, I have some good ones. The Vinaya, not of my behavior, of other people's. Yeah, well, maybe some of mine too. Okay, the Vinaya contains many ways for monastics to confess and make amends for the various types of transgressions. Monasteries with knowledgeable monastics know and practice these ways, thus benefiting the individual, the Sangha, and also the public. So this is another benefit of living in community, is that you do the fortnightly posada ceremony, which makes us kind of be honest about our precepts and to, you know, look at our behavior in the last 2 weeks. If you live alone, you don't have that opportunity to stop. You don't, you know, you can skip that opportunity to stop and think. And you know, you don't have to confess and make amends. You just ignore it and say, well, the Buddha sees everything anyway, so he knows I'm sorry. Or actually, I'm not sorry. I you know, it's really that other person's fault. You know, but to really think, you know, when we see somebody else not behaving properly, you know, that I should really refrain from not doing that, and really see the benefit of the support of the community and the Vinaya rituals that we do that help us go in that direction. Okay, we didn't get very far today. Maybe, no, we got very far, not in terms of pages, but in terms of things to think about. Any questions or comments? Yeah.
Just on that note of appreciating, like, that our choice to be a monastic builds on the ethical foundation that our parents gave us. I was just reflecting recently that both my parents don't really drink alcohol. It was in the house because it was often given as gifts to them, but they didn't really they didn't model at all having any enthusiasm for alcohol at all. And that actually really profoundly affected me in ways that I didn't appreciate. Because their indifference to it, like it sat there for years with they didn't drink yet. It just set such a good example of it's not worth the hype that everyone else is giving to it. And it was big protection.
Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
Venerable, you'd asked us earlier if we'd ever apologized to our parents about, our antics as kids. And I raised my hand because I'd done that. And I got a response from my mom in a letter about it, where she actually discouraged me from having guilt or shame about how I acted as a kid, and that, childhood is a training ground for all of us. And that I just found her response really interesting. And
Yeah, that's very nice, huh? Yeah. Okay, so let's dedicate. And then don't get up at the end, because after we go offline, I have something to say.
May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of wholesome teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In the snowy mountain pure land, you're the source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenresi, may we stay until samsara ends. May the deeds of explaining and practicing the Dharma, done by groups supporting the teachings and their upholders, who spread the view of dependent arising and non-violent actions in the 10 directions, and especially at Sravasti Abbey in the West Floor.